Ladies and gentlemen, Boneddigion or Boneddigesau, please take your seats and welcome to the stage Will, Mel and Robin.
Welcome to 4 Wales, See Wales, as sponsored by ACT Training with me, Mel Owen.
Me, Robin Morgan.
Me, Will Hayward.
And you guys at Cardiff Glee Club. Any news, guys? What's going on?
Just this. It's cool,
This
isn't
is
it?
mental, isn't it?
First ever live show.
Yeah.
We need to actually know stuff and not me look up stuff on the computer in between cuts.
Yes, as we fill and so on. Yeah, absolutely. Have you come prepared?
I've got notes, I've got an iPad, I've got an owl. I mean,
Brilliant,
I've got everything I could possibly need.
What more could you need?
Nothing at all. What have you been up to this week?
Just planning for this. I opened up an antiques shop where I sell fake owls.
I love that there's no context for that in the recording.
No.
And do you know what? The listeners who didn't come to this don't deserve the context.
Yeah. The 7 of them are not going to know what's going on.
We are here, of course, in front of our beautiful live audience.
Yes.
First time. Give yourselves a round of applause. How fucking cool. How cool. Look at this. We were trying to think beforehand that we have, some podcast listeners, they have like names for them, don't they? We haven't got names for you lovely people. Has anyone got any suggestions?
Swifties for Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Should we call them Swifties?
And no one will be confused.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, what do you guys... Have a little think about what you'd like to be called. Because obviously Beyonce's got the Beehive. Mm-hmm. Taylor's got the Swifties.
Andrew R.T. Davis has the Retweeters.
Yes, exactly. You have a little think about what
I think there's another
called.
name for them.
Go on, Will.
No, I don't want to. I went to North Wales.
Oh,
week.
did you?
I know. And the problem is, the people that would have pleased are just definitely not here.
Yeah.
I don't know, there could be some original... give us a cheer if you grew up in North Wales. See?
Oh. I like that you leant your head back as well with like joy.
To show
So
how
much power. Like, yeah.
just to show where North is.
I went to Wrexham. I went to Bangor. I gave a talk on Anglesey. It was. They booked me.
They're in. Yeah.
You gave a talk about the subject of Anglesey?
No, I was physically on the island.
On the
of Anglesey.
island of Anglesey.
I was talking about Welsh politics.
Were you?
Yeah.
Just like in the street and hoping people stopped, or
No, it was to 100 people in Rossniger Golf Club. I know. I know.
Bless the 10 of you that went, ooh, no. No, I don't think so.
Pretty glamorous. How many miles is that per person who saw me speak?
Yeah, I've done gigs like that. I did a talk show in Knaresborough to 18 people, and I drove up there thinking, how much petrol am I spending on each individual person in this room?
just to get there.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Dreadful stuff.
Yeah, there's because you go up and I'm like, well, I found that people don't immediately warm to me generally.
Really?
But
I am glad I am sat down for that news.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life.
well, then I was there and I was conscious of my natural unlikability, and then I was conscious I was from South Wales, and I was conscious I was also English.
Yeah.
And there was all right. But there was a couple of older guys there in the audience, and I have a foolproof way of making friends with older men.
Don't make the joke you want to make in your heads.
What is it?
You basically, I'm not, this is a joke. All you do is you tell them the route you took to get somewhere.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You just say, they go, so how did you come up? I was like, I went M4 or M50, I went M5 for a bit, but then I cut in at just around, and then Wrexham, and then they're like, that was a good route. That was a really good route.
Yeah.
Did you consider going up the West Coast? And I did, but there was some traffic, around Carmarthen. They were like, there is traffic around Carmarthen. And then they just warm to you, because you've got a thing.
That is a key, that is really good. If ever I want to, if a man is talking to me and I want them to, go away and do something else that's quite busy, I'll ask them the best route for me to take to somewhere, as if I'm going to look at an atlas, do you know what I mean? And I'll just be like, what route should I take to Anglesey? And they'll go off and they'll, look at it. And that's a really handy way of getting rid of them. Yeah.
Guys, so
And yet you're still here.
No, it's because you've used that on me. And every time you ask where the bathroom is. So when we normally plan the running orders, we have it written down and then we go off on kind of tangents. I got so annoyed about the Zelensky-Trump stuff over the weekend that I did my first rage tweets that I've done for years. I've got quite good at not tweeting my emotions and just being, someone who's just using it for their brand. That's how I've kind of treated Twitter. But I got really angry and then was shouting into this racist void. So before we go in, we're not going to do a whole section on it, but I do want to just point out something about Eastern Ukraine and Donetsk. Okay?
Please.
Okay.
So Donetsk, the city in the area which Putin is trying to claim illegally, was founded by a Welshman. Did anyone know this? Oh.
Yes.
That's why they're here, Will.
I love how more people knew that than said they were having a good time. Fucking brilliant.
I didn't know, Will. Tell me more.
Thank you. A guy called John Hughes from Merthyr went there in the 1800s, and it was essentially to start an ironworks. And it was really, really small village, and now it's grown to a city of over 1 million people. They had an Anglican church there dedicated to St. David, on his weekend. So what I'm trying to say is Wales has as much right to that as Putin does.
Okay, no.
Which is no right whatsoever, to be clear.
Look, we tried with Patagonia. It didn't go well.
Yeah.
Right? We were so bad at colonising, the natives started helping us, right? We're not doing this, okay? No.
We had a committee.
Yeah, exactly. We're not doing it.
Okay. We are going to now go in. Should we talk about St. David's Day?
It seems sensible to
Yeah, topical.
Cool, let's do it. St. David's Day was yesterday.
How did you celebrate?
I basically got nervous about a live show for 24 hours.
How did you celebrate?
I was making Will nervous.
Staring through his window.
Sending him voice notes. They're going to hate you, Will.
You're incredibly unlikable.
This is why we edit these things, Will.
Now, what you will notice is tomorrow you're going to have to go back to work. Well, you guys aren't because you're comedians and you're always working. You're always working. That wasn't supposed to be a dig. Many of our listeners will be going to work tomorrow because it's not a bank holiday.
Yeah.
Now, what might surprise you? You might know it already. I mean, these guys are going to know it because they knew about fucking Donetsk being founded.
That's my Swifties.
St Andrew's Day is a bank holiday in Scotland.
Yeah.
And St Patrick's Day is a bank holiday in Ireland. But St David's Day is not a bank holiday in Wales. And yeah, exactly. Boo. I think that's a shame. I think that would be an ideal way to celebrate Welshness. What do you reckon?
Yes, I agree, Will. Is St George's Day a bank holiday in your country?
The United Kingdom.
Well done.
The Welsh nationalists are like the only people that like me. Don't turn them on me.
Even they hate you, Will.
I was going to say, they're ambivalent. Yeah.
So, no, St George's Day is not a bank holiday in England.
Interesting.
And that will be something that is always raised. And I think actually that is kind of part of the problem, because I think one of the issues we've had in the UK is that Englishness and Britishness are essentially amalgamated into a very similar thing. I think the English, as somebody who would define themselves sometimes as English, would say that is actually a big problem, because we've never really been able to define what makes Englishness, and it allows a very hopefully small part of that group to define it. Because I always say, like, imagine if you saw a house with loads of Welsh flags on it, and then you saw a house with loads of English flags on it. You think a very different thing. If you see a flag with loads of St George's crosses on, what do you think?
Well, I'm not going in, for a start. Because if I go in, I ain't coming back out,
They'll colonise you.
Yeah, they will colonise me to my face. But a Welsh one, you're like, oh, I bet they love singing.
Yeah.
They're going to sing at me as I go over the doorstep. They got a little Welsh cake on the griddle.
Yeah.
Bet there's
Someone's got a harp,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet there's a spooky dead horse in there.
Yeah. Have a little rap battle with it, Yeah.
So the power to decide what bank holidays are when is actually lies with the UK government. So that's completely within their gift.
What department is the bank holiday department?
Always off.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Well, nice.
I love it when the comedians laugh at me. So Well, it's an interesting question because back, it would have been 3 years ago. Boris Johnson was still just about hanging on. And
Pour one out, please. Pour one out. May he rest in peace. He's not. You haven't missed a breaking news alert, by the way. It's fine. Imagine if we broke it.
Yeah. Also, he's not going.
What?
That's true.
You know.
So a petition was signed. 12,000 people signed a petition calling on St David's Day to be made a bank holiday. And the petition read, St David's Day has always been a significant day in Cymru/Wales and has been used to celebrate everything Welsh. It's time to make this special day a bank holiday in Wales, just like St Andrews in Scotland and Ireland has St Patrick's Day for bank holidays. So,
Different in history, they say.
Well, this is the UK government response. So
Right, okay.
The department of the UK government that responded was the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. Yep. So obviously they take identity and culture really seriously. Okay, this is a bit long, so stay with me. We could have put it on the screen, but that screen takes an hour to come down. So they started with, "We appreciate the sentiment behind this request." Fuck off. However, the government has no current plans to change the well-established and accepted arrangements for bank holidays in Wales. The decision to create bank holidays for St Andrew's Day and St Patrick's Day have been developed against a backdrop of different histories, economic, social, cultural and legal systems. Different factors required separate considerations. We'll come on to what they say in a minute, but I want to kind of break those two down. I mean, that first one where they say, we appreciate the sentiment. Just fuck off, you patronising wankers. It's just a nothing statement, that. As if the Department for Industrial Strategy of we really appreciate this sentiment. Yeah. They just don't. They couldn't care less. But what really, really annoyed me was that line about the different histories, the different social context. Because absolutely, Wales has got a different social and historical context for Scotland, mainly because of being conquered. So, I'm not going super Welsh nationalist on this, but I think this is something that's worth bearing in mind. So, what annoyed me most about that was how illiterate to history it was. Totally illiterate to our history. So, basically, St David's Day, St David became big. He kind of made it. He started to break out in the 900s. 900s.
He went mainstream.
Yeah, he went mainstream.
He went Spotify.
He'd been doing a lot of stuff on Instagram, but he just wasn't getting noticed.
Yeah, sure.
Then he got retweeted by someone, and it just
he went viral. Yeah.
So it was really, really popular in Wales when Ireland was colonised. There's a lot of colonising in this story.
What, from England?
Some Welsh people went over. We like to piggyback. We do like to piggyback.
We do, yeah.
We do.
We had Patagonia chat out twice in 5 minutes. Go on.
They would date their calendar from St David's Day. That was how much that day meant to them in the 1100s. So it was a really, really big day. The first Tudor king of England, Henry VII, born in Wales, celebrated St David's Day in his court. And it was a really, really important day. Also, St David's Cathedral in St David's, the Pope said, and I think this was in the 1300s, said that if English pilgrims went to St David's twice, that was the equivalent of going to Rome once. And yeah, brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It was
you try and say that to your girlfriend. She's like, I want to go to Rome. And you'd be like, we could go to St David's twice.
Would you like to go twice, darling?
Don't say I don't treat you well.
Never go twice.
That's mad that English people were going to the west of Wales for...
The Pope...
For holidays? No.
I know, built second homes. The Pope decreed that it had the same spiritual reward as going to Rome, and no other part of Britain was given that same status. So it was a big thing, St David's. But then, during the Reformation in the 1500s, an English bishop, you knew they were going to come up, he was made the Bishop of St David's. His name was William Barlow. He's really let down the Williams. There's been quite a lot of bad Williams, actually. If you go through history, we're conquerors.
Yeah.
Look at me, English guy talking about Welsh politics.
Yeah.
Awful.
One of them's in The Hague. William Hague.
Yeah. So when he became the bishop, he stripped St David's of its relics, and he tried to move the bishopric to Carmarthen. Okay, and no disrespect, any Carmarthen people here? Nice.
It's only one. We can take it.
We can afford to lose them. Moving it from St David's to Carmarthen, and actually in the 200 years that followed, celebration and worship of St David went down massively for the next 2 centuries. But it was kept alive by the Welsh diaspora. So it was Welsh people who went abroad, whether Ireland, America, that kept celebrating it. And then that was that kind of came back in like the 1700s. So for about 2 centuries, because of what was imposed on Wales, that's the different cultural setting. That was why it was diminished. But actually then the story of St David was translated from Latin into English in the 1920s, and people like Saunders Lewis started writing about it, and that's when it really caught fire again as the patron saint of Wales.
There we go. Thank you, Robin Ryan.
But don't you think that's kind of interesting that context that the UK government spoke about, that different historical context, was essentially it was repressed more. And that's the different context. That is really it.
And that's their reasoning.
That was the rationale. We're going to come on to the other rationale, which was the money, in a minute. But yeah, and isn't that a very, very Welsh thing that our patron saint was almost forgotten because of repression, but now he's come roaring back and people are really interested in it?
I mean, we're all repressed.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, go on, let's...
The reason I brought you here.
Early. We started early. Let's pull at that, Fred. How are you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Don't like people looking at me. And yeah, I'm very well, thank you, William. Very, very well. Have a nice day.
When we were talking about Williams through history, I really panicked for a second. I forgot you were a William. Like, look, I forgot Will was short for William. I'm only just recovered from that bit, to be honest.
You got Will was short for William?
Yeah.
Do you have a middle name?
Yeah, I do.
No further questions.
Have we not had this conversation?
I don't think so. Have we?
My middle name is, so it's William Joseph, and then it's Gayton.
Gayton?
We have not talked about this.
As in a ton of gay.
Gayton. Or Tonnne, like a ton.
So before you slag it off, I would just point out it's my mum's maiden name and she is here.
Yeah. Ms. Gayton, a pleasure.
Yeah, so basically in school, the first letters of all my names were Will Joe Gayhay. That's why I got into politics.
Yeah, that's mad.
Because I wanted to make a change. Let's just move on to that next quote from the UK government. So,
Sorry, I just say very quickly, I was out last weekend and a BBC journalist came up to me very drunkenly and said, I love what you do on the podcast. I really love that you keep Will Hayward humble. And I just feel like it happened in a lifetime there.
cool, right, so...
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
You have no idea how much bullying we cut out of this. I'm going to do a Will 2 movement in about 2 years when I reveal what these two are actually like to me. And the problem is, they're both quicker and funnier than me. So it's actually really, really hard to cope. Anyway, back to the UK government, who are the real enemy here, not the Gaytons.
That's what we can call you all.
The
Gaytons. We got it.
Right. Fuck you guys. So, the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy added, although an additional bank holiday may benefit some communities and sectors, the cost of the economy of additional bank holiday is considerable. The latest estimates for the cost of a one-off bank holiday across the whole of the UK is £2 billion. £2 billion. 2 bank holidays, we could have our HS2 money. So their argument is it's going to cost a hell of a lot to have a bank holiday. Now, first things first, the bank holiday would just be for Wales, so that 2 billion figure is a bit of a misnomer. Wales is 5% of the UK population, so I think it's fair to say we could be talking about maybe 8-9% of that. But I want to be balanced here for a change. And I think there's a few things to say in defence of their argument. Bank holidays do have a negative impact on parts of the economy. There is a difference between having a bank holiday in Wales compared to Scotland. The Welsh border is so much more interconnected. There's so many more production lines that run across it. If you had all of Wales off while England wasn't, apart from being fucking awesome, it could cause difficulties for some businesses. But I'm not suggesting that is an insurmountable obstacle.
I think it's very refreshing for the UK government to care so much about the Welsh economy. For once.
I mean, parts of Wales would do really well. People in Pembrokeshire and people who run pubs are like, oh, please do a bank holiday, because it's just like money in the bank for them.
But don't the UK government suggest the bank holiday every time England get to a sports final, then lose? But that is, if
Yeah.
England win the World Cup or win the Euros, then wasn't Starmer saying, we're going to have a bank holiday?
Or any member of the royal family dies, has a baby, has a wedding, has a cold. Like yeah. One of the more coherent arguments that I heard, it's going to blow your mind, came from David T.C. Davis. I know. Anyone, David, is he here? Nope.
He does really like you now, to be fair.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. He likes me.
Yeah.
But he basically likes people he likes a ruck, and I think because we've had arguments, it's like, if two people like punch each other and at the end of the boxing match they hug.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the point we've got to.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I'd love to see you two boxing.
He would batter me.
Do you think so?
He's mad. If you see, he's really tall.
No, I reckon he boxes like one of those old-timey ones.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this, you know?
Yeah. Vaudevillains.
Yeah.
I reckon he duels.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be a glove slap.
Swords at dawn.
Yeah.
How tall is David T.C. Davis?
Oh, he is big.
Is
Like,
he? I think you and I heard that at the same time.
Yeah. Moving on.
It's not nice, is it? Been mocked in front of a crowd? Gatons. Actually, I don't know if is this betraying a source? No, fuck it. David T.C. Davis's WhatsApp picture is him surfing.
For fuck's sake.
What, the web?
So,
Does it like...
talking to Mel in a chat room.
A chat room, all right, Grandad.
All right. Daryl Custom.
Yeah.
Edit point. Yeah, so in winter it's him skateboarding, and in summer it's him surfing. That's not even a joke, it is.
He has a seasonal WhatsApp picture.
Will he have changed it yesterday? Because technically yesterday was the first day of spring. Look now.
Do you know what? I'll check in the interval.
Okay.
This is like the Welsh Groundhog Day. If he doesn't change the picture, we have 2 more weeks of winter.
The thing is, Welsh politics is so small, there's probably someone here with David T.C. Davis's number, and I imagine they're going to text him now, and I'll go back in and he'll change it to my picture. Anyway, David T.C. Davis made a coherent argument again. Sorry, there are people over here as well. Hello. Made quite a coherent argument because people will say, well, St David's Day should be a bank holiday because we should celebrate Welshness, and Wales, it's a small country surrounded by a much larger country. And what we should be doing is giving room for that identity to breathe and develop and for us to celebrate it. Now, his argument was, well, actually, when my kids go to school on St David's Day, they do lots of stuff around St David's Day, whereas if they're at home, they're less likely to do anything. That might just be his attitude to St David's Day. Although he did learn Welsh. He won Welsh Learner of the Year. This isn't supposed to actually be for Wales, see David T.C. Davis. But that was one of the arguments, that if you put kids in school, it's a chance to learn about Wales, whereas if at home, they might just play Fortnite.
I mean, they will have the rest of the week to also do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if like St David's Day fell on a Saturday when I was at school, I still did the old dressing up on the Friday. We weren't like, sorry, no, it's Saturday, so you don't get to do it this year. Put those fucking Welsh cakes away. Right? Like, I still got to go in with a hat and everything. Yeah?
Did you
I did it, age 60, yeah.
With the
Not
bonnet?
Yeah.
Yeah, at what age do you stop wearing that stuff?
I think, is it secondary school where it gets a bit odd?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What age do you start again? Because there is an older Welsh woman who will also dress up.
Ooh, I don't know who these
Has
people
anyone
are.
come in dressed today?
Basically, the UK government said no to the St David's to having St David's Day as a bank holiday. The current policy of Welsh Labour, the Welsh Lib Dems, the Greens, Lib Dem. Sorry, Dodd. The current policy of Plaid Cymru, obviously, and even the policy of the Welsh Conservatives is for St David's Day to be a bank holiday. Up until just before the last general election, it was also the policy of the UK Labour government, but it was quietly dropped just before that vote. I know.
What?
I love that it was an intake of breath.
They couldn't believe Labour had U-turned on something. That's what it was.
I'm actually looking out, and there's a few actual nice Labour people in the audience, so I'm really sorry about what's going to happen over the next few pages of this. Sorry, some of these are my friends. This is why you don't make friends if you're a political journalist, because it's really hard to screw over your friends, and you have to, else people don't subscribe to your newsletter. But it was It was actually introduced by Jeremy Corbyn, the policy for UK Labour to take it up, and then quietly dropped by Starmer just beforehand.
No way.
Which is broken in the Telegraph, which is the only time they covered Wales in the year leading up to that, except to say, look how shit it is. Cool. Other symbols of the UK that aren't, that are supposed to contain Wales but don't contain Wales. So the obvious one is Union Jack.
Yeah.
Which I think is a bit of a shame because Wales's flag is better than all the others. So Union Jack, you've got Northern Ireland, you've got England, and you've got Scotland.
Yeah.
But no Wales.
Just no like dragon in the middle.
How could you incorporate it?
I think like the dragon like peeping out from one of the crosses.
That's cute. Really
Or just
coily.
like wings either side.
Yeah. Or it moves, so you're like, where is the dragon?
Oh, nice. Do you
Yeah.
remember those little things you used to get as a kid that sort of moved ever so slightly?
Yes.
What are those things? The shiny things? Do you know what I'm talking about? Is there a word for it? Hologram.
Yeah.
Is it? It's not hologram, is it? That's what ABBA is.
These guys know about holograms, know about Donetsk.
Yeah.
Yeah, dragon
Yeah,
not moving.
yeah.
Or the whole flag could be in the shape of a dragon, like cut out. That would be exhausting.
Yeah. Awful.
That'd be hard to sew onto your backpack as well, wouldn't it?
Who's sewing
No, you know them. You know they're out
They're
there.
the people when they're travelling who take their guitar.
Yeah.
Cunts.
Have we ever dropped that C-bomb on the podcast?
Not that Daryl hasn't taken out.
Wow.
Oh, actually, what was the age limit we set on this?
14 plus.
They have to live.
I feel like most 14-year-olds would have been exposed to that, but I'm sure the 14-year-olds that want to come to a Welsh politics podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Actually, why am I slagging off our audience? I love you guys.
Mel, you said they have to learn with the energy of a stepmother.
I plan on being a stepmom so hard. All the rewards, none of the work.
Do you
I'll
guys...
make an excellent third wife, I think.
Do you think so?
Yeah, that's the energy I have.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway.
T.C. Davis has been married twice.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I don't know if he has. It just worked. I don't think he has, actually. I think he's married once. Happily.
And that's fine by me, by the way. That's okay.
Do you know what the shield is on the royal coat of arms?
No.
No.
So there's 4 quadrants. One quadrant is the 3 lions of England. The next quadrant is the lion of Scotland. This quadrant opposite that is the harp of Ireland. And the 4th quadrant is the 3 lions of England. There is literally no Welsh representation at all. There's 7 lions in total.
Famously, a country where lions come from is England. They can't.
Oh,
I mean, we do have a
can't
dragon.
get around them in Birmingham. They're fucking everywhere.
You can't move for lions.
No,
can you?
exactly.
My question to you guys, is the things like the symbols, ultimately, does it matter? Like, all the issues Wales has got, is it actually a big deal that are... And I'm not leading you on this question. I think it's actually a worthwhile question to ask. Does it really fucking matter? Like, have we got bigger fish to fry?
I suppose so, but I think it all adds up, right? It all adds up to an idea that you're not being respected or cared about or thought about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if there's an argument to be made for us being within the United Kingdom, within Great Britain, there has to be some kind of respect shown. And, like, you can't force somebody to want to be somewhere where, like, there is that level of disrespect being shown, or just ignorance more than anything.
Yeah, I think symbols are just that, aren't they? They're symbols. But I think if there is clearly demonstrable times Wales is significantly shortchanged within a wider country, which is the UK, those symbols actually matter because they do. If Wales, I don't think, was being shortchanged and had the funding that it required and had the political attention it required and had the political calibre of politician it required, no offence, people, then I think that then I think they wouldn't matter. I think it wouldn't be a big issue. It'd just be a kind of part of the past. But I think that the absence of Wales on these physical symbols, and I think it's also a problem for the union. If you believe in a union, you believe in a United Kingdom, representing the constituent parts of that United Kingdom, I think are really important. And it's important that they are visualised there because you need people, every generation, to buy into that, don't you?
If you had like a young child who feels very, very Welsh in their own identity and you were to say to them, no, you're British, like you are British, and they were to look at every emblem and not see their own identity being represented while all the others are, I would struggle as to how to defend that.
I think one of the things David Cameron I mean, one of the big fuck-ups David Cameron did, and that is a list. But with the Scottish referendum, he thought this will just be an easy way to deal with that issue. But by the very fact that that referendum was called, that said, plain and simple, that the sovereignty of the constituent countries within the United Kingdom lies within that country. The fact Scotland has the right to decide to leave if it wants means that the countries within the United Kingdom are individual countries in and themselves. And I think if that's a view I would agree with, but if that's what you're going to do, you need to make this United Kingdom continually justify itself to the people within it. And I think you do that by and the fact that the British national anthem and the English national anthem are the same. Not necessarily in rugby, don't at me. But like often, God Save the Queen is what they sing before England football matches, isn't it? And it's also I'm rambling, but
but all very valuable points.
Oh, thanks.
Do you think there are any people who want Welsh independence who would change their minds if we got the dragon on the Union Jack? Like during that's the one issue. Yeah. That's the one sticky.
That's the turning point.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not. If they, it'll be weird for somebody to feel so strongly about it.
Okay.
But I know what you were saying in terms of, do we have bigger fish to fry? And yes, and the answer is we do have other things to be more worried about.
You're dying on a waiting list. You're not like, at least the dragons there.
Yeah, exactly. But also, both things can happen at the same time. You know?
Yeah, I think if you had a United Kingdom which was introspective and self-confident enough to be able to have a discussion about changing the flag to represent Wales as well, I think that would be a union a lot of people would be more comfortable being a part of.
Yeah.
So I don't think it is the flag, but I think it would be what the flag symbolises. Nice. Can I just tell you one funny thing about the Prince of Wales?
What? Oh, himself?
Well, there's a lot of... Do you still think of Charles?
Yeah.
Whenever I read like a news article that says the Queen has missed an engagement because she's ill, I'm like she's worse than it.
Yeah. BBC breaking news. Yeah. 100%. I'm with you there. It starts with my tracks. I'm like, did I make that up?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I told quite a few people. She's gone. So, who do you mean?
I mean, well, my namesake.
Oh, the actual Prince of Wales. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the actual Prince of Wales. Okay. Actually, how are we doing for time?
It's a really good question. It's 2:33. Do you
long?
have somewhere to be? My role in this was to keep time, and I have not done that. So Will's done it. I think we've been on stage for about 35, 40 minutes.
That's why I was going like that.
Someone's clapped as if to hurry up.
Or to turn the lights on.
Alexa!
You know what? I'm not going to do this anecdote about the Prince of Wales because it's actually not that interesting.
You can't fucking tease them like that! Do it!
It's actually quite shit. There's a reason we put this at the end.
Oh, okay.
Basically, you know the 3 ostrich feathers that they have, that is like the Prince of Wales kind of sigil on the Welsh rugby as well. What is quite annoying about that is, do you know how that allegedly became the symbol for the Prince of Wales?
No.
Because those are the only 3 hairs on his head.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so much funnier than what I'm going to do. So basically, you won't be surprised to hear that the Prince of Wales sigil has very, very little to do with Wales at all. He took it off the helmet of the blind King John of Bohemia at the Battle of Kerry in 1346.
He took it off a blind king.
No, the blind king's helmet.
Oh, right.
King was dead, took the helmet.
Oh, the king was dead.
Took his ostrich feathers, which is his sigil, and put it as his sigil.
Are you still blind if you're dead?
He went into battle blind. Am I misunderstanding something? We were talking earlier about what our catchphrases are, and they worked out that mine is, what is going on?
And what's Robin's?
Oh, no. I can't say Robin's.
Apparently I say beta cuck a lot. And you're basic. Apparently I say that a lot. I didn't realise.
Love that.
Love that. 100%.
The beta cuck thing, both my auntie and my dad have Googled.
Your dad knew.
He's not a Gayton, so...
He is not a Gayton!
Should we do an audience vote on St David's Day as a bank holiday?
Yeah, go for it. This is binding, by the way.
Who thinks it should be a bank holiday?
Give us a cheer.
Who doesn't?
I mean... No.
David T.C. Davis!
That would have been a fucking brave. If in this room to go, no, not me.
Yeah, not for me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Cool. Let's move on to something more depressing.
Okay.
So what is a beta cock?
You're looking at it, buddy. Raise, give us a shout if you know what a beta cock is. No. Didn't think you did. I didn't think I'd be asking that question today, to be completely honest.
It's not even 3 o'clock, you know?
Okay.
This is more depressing, actually. You're right, yeah.
Do you know what happened 5 years ago, almost to this day?
No.
I, like everyone else in the world, doesn't ever want to talk about COVID ever again. Hates COVID. It was just a shit time when everything went to shit. We thought it'd be this big, like maybe like this blitz spirit unifying thing, and it was just a wank, wasn't it? It was just horrible.
I hope this isn't how people think we're celebrating the anniversary. We got all in a room
with the COVID owl. No, but I think the reason, from a Welsh context, a Welsh political context, we have to talk about it, is because I think it was such a huge change to how politicians in Wales operated. I think it gave the Welsh government confidence that they'd never ever had, and I think it made people aware of devolution, for good or bad, in a way that just never ever ever happened. I don't think we'd be doing a podcast like this if COVID hadn't happened, because I just don't think there'd have been the interest. I'm sure all of you would have been, because looking at just nerds here on a Sunday. But in terms of why do people interested or even aware that guy who introduced us, Uncle Mark, he I don't know if I've ever said about the uncle on the podcast. Oh, we did it in the podcast. Yeah, fuck it, we did it.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, they know. Most people would not have known who he was. Now, if you showed him to most people in Wales, they'd have at least an awareness of him, wouldn't they?
Yeah. That man, when we presented him a cheese board on the podcast, did not want to eat a Baby Bell.
He didn't even acknowledge it.
No,
he was
no.
he wasn't even going to deign it with the respect.
So beneath him.
Yeah, and it is.
100%.
Yeah, it really was. Did he look at the cheese string?
He said that his grandchildren eat cheese strings. Get them on cheese young, is what he said. He didn't say that.
Do you know what he did do when it came out, though? He made the noise.
Yeah.
He can make that noise with a Welsh accent. It's like,
I thought about buying some Baby Bells in the Tesco on the corner and lobbing them out at people, and then I forgot. But there's an interval.
Yeah.
See,
Well, right.
maybe.
What do you remember about those early days of COVID?
COVID. I've blurred a lot of it out, you know.
I just moved back to Wales a couple of months
really?
before. I was living with my mother-in-law. We were waiting for our house to go through in Cardiff, where we live now. So I was with my mother-in-law and living in someone else's house, which was very strange anyway. And then we managed to move into the house that we're at now, where the roof needed doing. So the roofer turned up, I think, on maybe day 4 of COVID, and he was like, I want to finish it, but I've just been told off by a neighbour a street across, so I can't finish your roof. And I was like, this feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I just drank in the garden for 2 years.
Lovely. No, it was a really odd. I blurred it out. You know when people talk about it was a really hot summer? I've got no memory of that. Really? Generally, yeah. I don't know if it's a trauma response where I've just completely blurred it out. But I went back to Aberystwyth. Well, I'd moved back before, but I was like, oh, how lucky am I that I get to be with my mum and dad? I'm really close with them. That we get to spend this time together, for the first time since I've been an adult. And actually, this could be a really lovely thing. And I feel like that positive feeling lasted about 3 working days. And then I thought about ways to kill that. But I didn't. I love them very much.
I was because I was a journalist. I was technically a key worker.
But I was clapping you every Thursday.
No one was clapping us. No one was clapping us. I got pulled over by the police once when I was travelling, and I had a letter which I could show and say. And he went, "Oh, no worries." He looked at me and went, "Journalist."
I had one of those letters once. I used to do warm-up on the Graham Norton show, and I was given key worker.
Yeah,
and I was given, when they started filming that again in London, I had to drive from Cardiff to London to do it. There was no audience there, so the audience was on Zoom. So I had to drive to London with a letter to the police saying I was allowed to do this, perform in Television Centre in London to a Zoom audience, which for some reason they didn't put the volume up on the audience. So I had to do 20 minutes of warm-up to silence while Graham Norton is stood there watching me essentially die on my arse.
Did he do the chair thing?
Yeah, I fucking wish he had. And then I would just go imagine, when everyone's muted on a Zoom call, but you're telling jokes for 15 minutes, and then they're Jamie Foxx is fucking there. Is this relatable?
That does sound awful. They should give you an MBE just for that. They should have. And then you'd have refused it and told everybody.
Yeah. Would you take an MBE or an OBE?
No, but then I would make such a show of turning it down.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Would you?
Yeah, but then I also wouldn't go in the odd set if they asked. No one's asking, though. Those robes.
Oh, we've actually got Charles just behind there. It's a shame.
One of the things I wanted to ask about was that perception of the UK government handling it differently to the Welsh government and vice versa. So I think that when you look at the figures for Wales after the 2 years of lockdowns, not lockdowns, actually the figures for deaths actually worked out pretty much the same. Wales was slightly higher, but when you adjust it based on the age and the health profile, it was fairly comparable. I do think it's obviously not that helpful to compare the success of a policy just on deaths, because I think that ignores things like schools, the wellbeing businesses, all sorts of different measures. But I think one thing that people did appreciate in Wales, in the main, especially to start with, was how Drakeford would explain stuff compared to Johnson, etc. Was that something you felt at the time?
Yeah, and I think from having just lived in London a few months before, a lot of my friends still being there was a lot. I did get messages from people saying that your guy seems good.
Did you take ownership of that? You're like, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll pass it on to Unky Mark.
Yeah. I think there definitely felt like such a change in tone, or difference in tone, rather. And I mean, we spoke about this with Mark Drakeford on the episode that he did, and how he didn't always dislike working with Boris Johnson, but that they were just so very different characters that was, Mark Drakeford was very meticulous in the way that he reads stuff, and Boris Johnson was kind of like going off vibes. And, I think that I was quite proud to have a devolved government at that point. And not always, but I think at that point I was really, really proud of it.
The thing I found hardest with it was, obviously my job and jobs of journalists in Wales was to scrutinise the Welsh government. And what I did find, especially probably that first 6-7 months, was people were got really aggy when we were, not within the Welsh government, but general members of the public would get really frustrated when we would scrutinise and ask questions. They'd be like, there was this thing, oh, no, these guys they're doing their best in a hard situation. They're better than that guy who's having a party and endlessly procreating in Downing Street. It's... You can't really make the argument, I don't think, that the Welsh government were more cautious, whether that's a good thing or not, than the UK government. What frustrated me was how often the comparisons were made between both. And I think that's a problem we have all the way through Welsh politics is Welsh government will always want to compare themselves to England when it's favourable. Whenever it's unfavourable, they'll say, actually, you can't possibly compare. Things are measured in different ways. This isn't right. And the problem is, if we only benchmark ourselves against England, essentially you are setting quite a low bar. I don't think we should aspire to have waiting lists in the state that England is, because they're still it's really bad over there. And I think we talk about Wales, look how below it is with England. But actually, England isn't doing well, isn't doing great. And I think that was one thing I found hard in the reporting. But there were one or two things that the Welsh government definitely did worse, especially around care homes. And I was talking to someone within the Welsh government just last week, and they said the problem with care homes was when that was fucked up, when both England and Wales fucked up care homes, everything else they did in terms of trying to mitigate deaths was fairly much rearranging deck chairs, because it was such a terrible thing that happened and how it got in. But Vaughan Gethin, who ultimately does bear the ultimate decision on this, didn't act for almost 3 weeks after Matt Hancock did, to stop to test everyone that went into care homes. I think people do miss that.
Thank goodness he made so many brilliant decisions afterwards. I think the comparison thing, though, if with the public drawing comparisons, that might have been the first time a lot of people did compare Wales with England. In that, for some people, they will be the first time that they realised that we did things differently or had the ability and capability to do things differently. So I think that comparison is not always a terrible thing. Like you say, it shouldn't just be to England because the bar's in hell. But, it's good that the public then had the awareness that actually we do have the ability to govern differently.
The awakening of Wales's devolved consciousness happened during that pandemic, that people were like, oh, that's the person that runs our schools and stuff. And there's a reason why Labour did really, really well in the 2021 election.
Yeah.
And it was because a lot of people who vote felt that Mark Drakeford had especially Mark Drakeford. It wasn't. I don't think it was a wider groundswell of support necessarily for Welsh Labour, but they loved Mark Drakeford until he made them drive slow.
Also have it, like, I was going to say the 20 mile an hour for you was like when you were gigging in London and stuff, 20 miles an hour was something that people, when you said you were Welsh, would talk to you about.
Yeah.
They use it as a weapon.
Yeah. People in London would heckle 20 mile an hour in a city where the speed limit is 20 mile an hour.
And you're lucky to get to 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's I don't know. We do criticise the Welsh government, we do assess them, but I don't think you can let off the hook how shit the opposition in Wales were during COVID, as a rule. I mean, firstly, the Welsh Conservatives, they had no idea what to do because they couldn't criticise anything the Welsh government did because the Tories in Westminster were, like, doing it the same or worse in lots of ways. And what you found with... I remember Andrew Davies standing up and giving a really, really passionate speech. This is before he turned on immigrants, about how... it was that he didn't want them to lock down Caerphilly, because Caerphilly was the first place to do the local lockdowns.
Yeah.
He didn't want them to lock down Caerphilly. He wanted them to lock down individual streets. So his argument, he said, I believe in hyper-local lockdowns, where if, like, 3 people on a street test positive, you just lock down that street. Because it's not fair on anyone else to lock down. Now,
Draw a red X on the door.
Yeah.
Is he playing Resident Evil? What the fuck was he on about?
I mean, bearing in mind, if you're doing it based on, like, hyper-local, like, postcodes, it changed every day.
Yeah.
You'd have been like, guys, you can come out. No, back in. We've just got a test back
Get
from
back
the.
in.
It was.
Yeah.
They were awful. Adam Price, like.
But like, Andrew was not big on logistics, was he? Do you know what I mean? Like, legit or facts. Like, I have, like, really bad imposter syndrome, I would say. You know, I feel like there are a lot of spaces that I feel like I don't deserve to be in, and then I'm there and I'm like, someone's going to catch me out and find out that I'm not good enough to be there. And I think that's a generally bad thing for people to have. Andrew Davies could do with a bit more of it.
Yeah, he has, like, what's the opposite of imposter syndrome?
Audacity?
Yeah, I mean, it was so bad. And it was the time that, like, people were noticing devolution and what we really needed, and the Welsh government were becoming more assertive and Welsh Labour were becoming more confident, and what we needed was an equally competent and confident opposition to hold them to account. And we didn't. I mean, Adam Price's main focus was he was really loving that during COVID support for Yes Cymru was going up. And he really didn't want to criticise the Welsh government because his aim wasn't really to beat Welsh Labour, it was to portray Westminster as the enemy. And so I think he let Labour off the hook a lot during COVID because his main interest was actually saying Wales good, England bad, as opposed to actually scrutinising that.
That's a good slogan, actually.
Yeah. Is that the next podcast? Wales good, England bad?
Yeah. Tell them the Mab Darogan story with Adam Price. This is one of my favourite stories.
So there is a prophesised hero of Welsh folklore called...
Owen Glyndwr.
No, the one you just said.
Oh, the Mab Darogan means the prodigal son.
Yeah, so the prodigal son of... I can't even say that, prodigal, it's English. Of Welsh history, this like kind of prince that was promised he was going to lead Wales to victory. And on one of his leaflets when he was first been elected, Adam Price described him as that. He cited himself as an X-Factor politician, a once-in-a-generation politician, described by many as the...
Mab Darogan.
Of his generation. And I think if you believe you are, you know...
That's believing in your source, innit?
It's so strong.
How do you sleep at night, Will?
Soundly. We need to wrap this up
We
like
need
it's
to
a
actually,
proper...
that can't be end the podcast.
I'm trying to do this in a nice way, Will.
Sure, yeah.
ACT training. Does anyone like apprenticeships?
Lion containers.
I think ACT and Lion Containers are here.
Yeah, they're
In that container.
They're going to have a fight to the death to see who will remain the sponsor.
Seriously, anyone else can sponsor us if they want to.
Yeah.
They don't have to be a company, just a fan. Yeah.
Yeah. You do that, you know, at the football when like certain companies just sponsor players.
Oh, so we get individual sponsors.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Who would sponsor Robin?
Who would sponsor Robin?
It's going to be wholesome, isn't it?
Yeah, but then it'd beat a cuck and then ruin it all.
Betacuck.org.
guys, it's been really fun. I've enjoyed that. I mean, I haven't enjoyed necessarily speaking about the time that hundreds of thousands of people died, or the fact that...
Stop bringing it up, Will.
All right, okay, fine.
We're trying to wrap up.
Okay, but it was good. Guys, you've been fantastic.
Yes, thank you so much for being... Have you enjoyed?
Oh, they're louder than they were at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so needy.
We will see you /hear you no, we won't hear you. You'll hear us.
Yeah.
Next time.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. Now, everybody who's listened, and if you weren't here, condolences, you've really missed out.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see you guys again after the interval. If you're listening, we'll just see you next time.
Yeah, a massive thank you to Hey Man Media. We say it every single time, but we barely do any work for this show. They literally do all of it. They're
Obviously,
fantastic. They'll blow up big pictures of you and put them on. Robin, your hair is amazing. They'll blow up big pictures of you and put it on big slidey things behind you. They will do pictures, video, and podcasts. They are great. Please use them. And a big thank you to ACT Training, who you can visit at acttraining.org.uk. That you clap.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Let's do I'm Robin. I'm Mel.
Okay, you want to say all of them?
No.
Okay,
I want to do you. You do yours.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I've been Robin Morgan.
I've been Mel Owen.
I'm Will Hayward.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.